Well, that's good. So it's funny to have done that, and then now it's
Right, of course.
Facebook then.
Classic.
Okay, it shows. All right. So it shows on my, oh, yay, there it is.
Yep,
Great.
I see it too.
Yay. Oh, it's so comforting when that happens. All right, cool. All right. My daughter said fabulous. She's over here resting on a chair behind my computer. Awesome. Okay, great. Oh, I'm so excited. Today is the last day. Welcome. Welcome to the last day of our Business Breakthrough Challenge. I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of fun. It has just been a true pleasure getting to walk beside you guys these past few days. Excuse me. I meant to drop the Zoom link because today we're going to have this just completely open. So if anybody would like to join us, hi, Sherry, in the Zoom room, come on over. After today, we will have another little Q&A session. So if you want to talk anything about the program, if you want to talk anything about your business in particular, we can chat about those things in the Q&A session. Okay, so I just dropped that in there. Excuse me, we have Shayna with us inside the Zoom room right now. Okay, well, did you love yesterday? I feel like yesterday was such a fantastic day because you were able to see the actual roadmap and the proven system for building a profitable online business. And you also got to see a little bit of an inside look into the pathway to 5K intensive. So if you missed that, go back and watch it. Sherry's going to join us in the Zoom room. Hi, Sad. Hi, Jennifer. Awesome. Yeah, so definitely go back and watch those. All of the replays for this challenge will be stored in the guide section inside our community until Sunday night, Monday morning. I say that because I don't know if I'm actually going to get in there Sunday night to remove them, but but definitely by Monday they'll be gone. So just keep in your mind, Sunday's my last day to watch. If you want to watch or replay anything, that's where you will find them in the guide section. Okay. Would you please do me a favor? So that we can get as many eyes on this training as possible, go ahead and tag a friend that you know is inside of this group. Drop a comment there if you haven't already. It helps the algorithm. And yes, we want to get as many people to see this as possible. So I would love to hear one thing that you have learned this week that maybe will change the way that you do things moving forward. And if you are new here, Jennifer, did I say hi already? I think I did. Hi, Evelyn. Thanks, Shayna. If today is your first day being here, I want to say welcome. I am so happy that you are here with us. Again, all the replays, if you miss them, are in the guides, and you have till Sunday night to check those out. And in case we haven't actually met yet, my name is Teresa Taylor. I am the founder of the Productive and Profitable video podcast over on YouTube and the founder of this incredible community. Really from the very beginning, leaving my teaching career of 10 years and moving to online sales, building a business from home, I knew that I really needed to do things differently than other marketers were doing online. Because I knew it didn't feel good, it didn't look good, but I really didn't know how. And so I did fall into a bit of that hustle culture. I shouldn't say a bit. I fell deep into the hustle culture. I spent so much time cold messaging people. I was endlessly posting on social media every day. I heard that you should post several times a day. So that's what I was doing. I was always on my phone. I was grabbing the freebies, all but freebies, to try to help me find the missing link. I would try implementing some of those freebies, but to be completely honest, some of those freebies just stayed inside of my email, and they just, I mean, I'm sure there's probably thousands of freebies, that are just sitting there. Give me a 1 if you relate. Have you been in the past a freebie seeker? Maybe you still are. It's totally okay. I mean, you're here. This is a free event, right? You're here, but when we overconsume, that becomes a problem. But to be honest with you, that hustle lifestyle, it was killing me. We let Brandy in the room here. Shayna said, my biggest takeaway so far has been that success equals security for me. That was a powerful realization. Wow. That is a really big realization. And the more that you dive into that thought, you're going to understand why you show up in certain ways in your business. And you'll be able to decide, are these the ways that I want to show up? Or do I not? And if they're not the ways you want to show up, we can go through and we can address that belief or that limiting belief. Limiting beliefs can be both good and bad, right? So we can address that to help make changes in your business. So that is a huge aha. Thank you for sharing that, Shayna. Good morning, Wendy. Evelyn says, I'm a freebie junkie. Totally get it. Okay, so the hustle lifestyle was killing me. I was burnt out. I wasn't spending the time with my children that I chose to stay home with in the first place. And sadly, God moved from the focus of my life and was really set more on the back burner for the most part, because I would wake up in the morning and pick up my phone and get to work and be attached. I was so driven by these goals and things I was hearing people say that became my huge focus, and my time with the Lord kept getting pushed to the side. And like most entrepreneurs, I became obsessed with professional development, and I actually discovered a passion within me for creating productivity and marketing systems to use in my business. And so back in, what was my story, guys? 2021? I think 2021. God actually called me to let everything go. And so I let everything go, and I spent a season of my life with him, just rewriting everything, restructuring everything. By the end of this time with him, and we spent every morning together, by the end of this time with him, he gave me a completely new business playbook, business, whatever you want to call it, path, right? And one of the things that came out of that was this beautiful morning routine training. And for a time, that was all that I was released to teach, was this beautiful morning routine program. And some of you remember that. For months, that was the only thing I did. And I sold it for super cheap. I think it was $17 or $27. But every single time I did it, the audience grew. And it was always a full house. And I learned so much in that season of understanding that God equips us for the mission that he wants us to serve in, the calling that he's placed on us. And so reflecting on that time and understanding that I had designed these productivity and marketing systems that were working, that kind of became the next portion of my business journey. And what was really cool was, because of these systems, I started really making a great income, enjoying the process. I had time, which I didn't have before. Remember, in that hustle culture, I didn't have extra time to do things that I wanted or hang out with the people that I wanted to hang out. And I made time for God. And since then, God placed it on my heart to help other women to develop those same systems for themselves in their businesses too. In my time coaching these women, I realized that really the number one problem that they had in growing their business online was lead generation. It was finding the right people to talk to who were actively looking for the solution that these women had. Building, as I mentioned, I think it was yesterday, as I mentioned yesterday, building my Facebook community built upon a common mission was really a part of the answer. I had done it for myself, and the women that I was coaching one-to-one were doing it and having great results. And because of the success that my clients were having, I knew that I needed to bring things to a larger scale. So I created the Magnetic Sisterhood. Some of you here have been a part of that. I see Wendy and Sherry and well, there's other people in the community, obviously, that are part of that, but you two are here live here. So that was my very first full business program that was really based on helping women to create their own lead generation communities, their own magnetic sisterhood, right? Where people would come in, the right people would come in. And since creating that original program, I've learned to simplify things even more for my clients, creating some very strategic systems and processes to help them reach their bigger income goals more quickly, and to also be able to give them back their most precious asset, which is time. So it has been an incredible journey. And for those of you who have already said yes to the pathway to 5K, your journey is about to get really, really good. I cannot wait to work with you. If everyone is ready, let's go ahead and get started, because today we're talking about a very important topic. And it looks like I'm putting on lipstick, which I am, which I didn't put on earlier, but my lips are so dry. I don't know about you guys, but Alaska is very dry. Anyway, this is tinted lipstick, which I really like. You haven't checked it out. Physicians Formula. I like their stuff. Okay, total side note. But imposter syndrome is something that so many people struggle with. And I really feel that it is like an epidemic in the online world, where we're comparing ourselves to other people. We are doubting the calling that God's placed in our life. It truly affects us, not just in business, but in every aspect of our life. It affects our relationships with others and with ourselves. So we're going to be talking about this today, and how to break free from it. Does this sound good? Awesome. Hi, Brandy. Good to see you. Okay, let's see here. Just checking the comments real quick. Great. Okay. So when God first laid it on my heart to build a ministry to him through coaching, I was super excited, as you might be too in your business, right? But once I started working to it, oh man, I got so overwhelmed with all the coaches that Facebook so generously placed in my feed because of the algorithm, right? And suddenly I felt, are you okay? And suddenly I felt like a kindergartner in high school. I started doubting myself and confusing myself with the direction that I was going. And in fact, it got so bad that in the summer of 2020, I woke up and had instant tightness in my chest and my belly all day long, because I just didn't want to make the wrong decisions. I was so paralyzed with fear. Are any of you in that place now where you know you want to grow your business, but you've been maybe hearing different things from different people and you're just not sure what you should do? And so because you're not sure, you're not doing anything. And so that's where I was. And I became so stuck in this moment, in this time, that, like I said, the first thing in the morning, I'd wake up in about 5 minutes, I would feel good. And then suddenly all day long, I dealt with this awful anxiety feeling inside of me. And it was all because I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to make the wrong decisions. Wendy said, recovering from analysis paralysis. Yes, that's exactly what it was. Hey, Dawn, good to see you. I think I already said hi. I don't know if I said hi. Hi, Debbie. Okay, so after I received some coaching from one of my mentors, I really did start to feel better. But then once it came time to launch my first program, it all crept in again. Putting myself out there, I felt vulnerable. I was constantly comparing myself to others. I was doubting the calling that I felt that God put me in, right? And I was afraid that others would think that I wasn't really equipped to help them, because I didn't feel equipped. And in fact, that was my mantra. I caught myself a lot saying things like, I'm not sure that I can do this, or I don't want to let anybody down, or surely they're so much further than I am, they don't need my help. Do you relate to any of that? If you struggle at times with imposter syndrome or comparing yourself with others, I'd love for you to just say yes in the comments. And if you struggle with it a lot, praise God that you're here today to hear this message. Imposter syndrome is the reason that we quit early. It is the reason that we never step fully into the mission that God has given us. And it keeps us from being vulnerable to others because we're too afraid of being found out, that we feel like we don't know what we're doing and that we won't live up to others' expectations. Fake it till you make it is an anthem that we hear a lot, over and over again, especially on social media. And while we might get the premise of it deep down, that saying, when we do that, it makes us feel like a fraud and like we're going to get cut any day. Everything's going to come crashing down. People are going to see, they're going to question the post and the content we put out there. So imposter syndrome is the silent killer of one's calling. There's a study that I ran across that stated that more than 70% of business owners experience this. That's a lot. And more so when we're just getting started in business or when we're scaling in business. Okay, the pressure to achieve and succeed combined with the lack of experience can make us feel inadequate and insecure. Unfortunately, a mindset like this changes a competent, responsible, driven, and otherwise successful person into an incompetent, irresponsible, unhelpful, fraudulent person when they stand in front of the mirror. But it's not based on truth. You see this woman here looking at herself. The green words is what she really is. The red words on that screen is what she's telling herself or what she feels like. But that's not based on truth. It is simply a story that she and we are telling ourselves that no one else outside of our own head even knows is going on. So I want to remind you of a story in Luke 5 from the Bible. And this is where Jesus reveals his identity to Peter by filling Peter's nets with fish. Okay. If you don't remember, it's okay. I'm going to share a little bit with you here. Okay. But Peter worked all day long. He worked all day long casting his nets into the water, trying to catch fish. He had nothing to show for it. He didn't catch any fish. He and his men did not catch any fish that day. And then Jesus tells him to cast the nets one last time. And Peter did, but Peter did so because Jesus told him to, not because he actually thought that he would catch something. But then he did. And at that moment, when Peter witnessed the miracle of his nets being full of fish, he fell to his knees and he said, "Lord, please leave me. I am too much of a sinner to be around you." He knew that he had fallen short and he was ashamed. But I love Jesus's response because it was a pattern interrupt. It caught him and took him off of his thinking and told him the truth. So he didn't acknowledge Peter's words. Instead, he redirected him and said, "Don't be afraid. From now on, Peter, you're going to be fishing for people, a greater mission." And as soon as they landed on the shore, they left everything, Peter and his men, and they followed Jesus. Imposter syndrome is simply this. It is a distraction from action. A distraction from action. The truth is that God has already equipped you. Yet you seek more knowledge in the fear that he hasn't equipped you. And I'm guilty of that too. We seek more knowledge in the fear that he hasn't given us enough. So we aimlessly put in our emails for freebies after freebies in the search to find the answer, the thing that is going to be the thing that's going to change everything magically. And those free resources, like I mentioned, they just sit unopened inside of our emails, unread. We forget to put into practice what we have already, what we've already learned, or we forget that we can ask mentors or coaches to help us make sense of it all so that we can actually get into action. So we can get out of our head that analysis paralysis, the imposter syndrome, the comparison, we can get out of our head so that we can actually get into action, okay? If we don't get into action, we can't possibly build our confidence or our skill sets, which means we will always have those feelings of inadequacy. Always. It'll become a vicious cycle. So as long as you are preoccupied with your inability or your inadequacy, then those things that you can't do yet or you can't do well yet, as long as those thoughts are there and not on God's ability through you, we will never live to our full potential. Are you with me? Does this make sense so far? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So for me, I had all the answers already. I just needed to trust God, to trust that God had already given me all that I needed to know to get started. And that is the key here, ladies. I want you to know, there's a couple things I want you to take away from this training, but that's one of them. He's already given what you need to get started. Keep that in mind. Get started. You already know enough. Okay. Showing up and putting things into action, even if they were messy, would be what would build my confidence and replace the feeling of not being good enough. So I took action, beautiful, messy action, and it helped. And then I found a coach with the same biblical beliefs that I had, and she mentored me in how to keep moving forward with the correct steps and helping me to fill in any gaps that I had along the way as we went. But if I didn't get into action, I wouldn't even have known, like, what am I supposed to, like, what are those missing links? What are the gaps? Okay. So she encouraged me to continue applying all that I had already learned and to continue sharing my knowledge, my expertise with others in what I know right now, or what I knew right then, just how I could in that moment without overthinking it all. And I realized the key to taking action was being okay with being vulnerable in my journey. Bye, babe. My husband's headed out. So it was taking action helped me to be okay with being vulnerable in my journey. So the only feelings that we really need to care about, ladies, are God's. Okay. So we show up being vulnerable for him so that he can lead and guide us. He can bring us new mentors into our lives or let us know when we're ready to learn more and get uncomfortable again. Now, I want to point someone out in here. I had a really great conversation with Shayna Longstreet, and she's actually one of the guests that's on the podcast. But last, I think it was quarter. Anyway, last year I had a conversation with her, and she had mentioned something about not purchasing anything else because it didn't align with her values and her budget that she set aside. I'm pointing this out because she knew her goals. And so this is important because when we trust that God is going to lead the right people to us, we can also trust that he is going to give us complete clarity that it matches our goals and that it matches the pathway, funny word to use, but the pathway that he set us on. If it doesn't match those things, then we can know that in this season, that's probably not the best option for us to invest our time or our money into. Okay. So we have to trust God that one, we already know enough to get started and that he is going to put the right people into our path to mentor us, to coach us, or put the right opportunities in our path that will help us fill that need. Like come alongside it, I should say, come alongside it, okay? To help fill in the gaps. So I kind of went on a side note there, but so what is God's antidote to imposter syndrome? There are 4 simple steps, okay? The first is that we demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, his truths, and we take every thought captive. Right? Take thoughts captive in the comments. Okay. This means that when something comes up that we know isn't of God, it's not good, just, right, full of love, then we take them captive by first noticing them and choosing to not entertain them. And then we replace them with truth. So an example of this might be like you're on social and you see somebody doing a really good job on like maybe their content is just on point and you're like, wow, that's amazing. Oh man, I really wish I could do that. And then all of a sudden you've opened the door and you've started through this cycle, the downward cycle, whatever that cycle looks like for you. Suddenly you're on it, right? The only way to prevent that to happen is to notice the thought. And when you know it's going to get started, you then tell yourself the truth. I am working. It can be as simple as this. I am working to become better at my content too. Every time I practice my content, I get better and better. Those are two examples. Okay. So you have to replace the thought with the truth. Okay. This is how we rewrite our limiting beliefs. Okay. The second is to pray with expectancy. We must wait with expectations, says Proverbs 23:17. So trust the work that God is doing in us. Trust that it is great and it will come to fruition in His perfect timing. I will tell you, ladies, back in the days when I was deep in hustle, it's not that I wasn't having any success. And who knows, maybe I would have become huge, right? But doing things my way and not trusting and doing things in God's way and His timing, me doing things His way and His timing gave me peace and success, excuse me. So we have to trust His perfect timing. And so when we're thinking of like back to that content example, we're saying the truth that every time I practice, I get better and better. And I'm going to believe that in time, God is going to make me not just as good as this person, but even better because He's going to teach me things along the way. He's going to give me time to learn things and apply them. Okay. And then step 3, we walk in truth that He has already overcome. Jesus has already overcome everything for us in our stead. And so because He lives in us, we can walk in that truth because it is a part of our identity. When we accept that God has already overcome for us, we understand the power that He has given us to take those thoughts captive. And we recover faster because we capture the thoughts quicker and we replace them quicker. And over time, it won't even have a place in our minds because it will become so fast, we'll hardly even notice those thoughts trying to enter. And step 4 is to show up. To show up. Feeling unsure about something does not make you an imposter. It simply means that you need to keep showing up and practicing. We can show up with confidence in the gifts, abilities, and skills that God has uniquely created in each of us. And as we continue to show up, we will build confidence in those abilities. And ladies, as we wrap up our time together inside of this business breakthrough challenge, more than anything, I want you to remember this quote. Some of you know it because you've been around for a while. And it is, those who show up, go up. So I have shared with you a picture of me and my friend Renee. I've shared a couple pictures of us over the past couple weeks, actually. But there was this very transitional moment for me. And she and I were on a call talking about business a couple years ago. And on that call, we were talking about how come with certain things we feel so confident. And then with other things, especially when it comes to our business, we feel unconfident or we struggle with comparing ourselves because of that unconfidence, right? And through this conversation, we realized, I remember looking in the mirror in my room, talking to her on the phone, and suddenly it was like this light bulb moment. In business, we feel unconfident a lot in a lot of things because we are constantly learning new things. Okay. If you're over on Instagram, you might feel like there's a lot of changes that have happened over the past 6 to 8 months. You might see things, your engagement going down, right? You might see people not interacting with your posts as much as they had. And so in that example, as a business owner, if that's where you want to be, you have to take time to learn the new things, right? And so because we are entrepreneurs and we're constantly learning new things, it's no wonder that we have a lot of moments where we feel unconfident in a particular skill or in a particular area of our business. And so this is why it's important that when we show up, we go up. Because when we practice, that's the only way to feel more confident, is to keep practicing. Okay. So that's the key. That's how you step into and embody radical confidence. You simply keep showing up through practice, through taking messy action. Clarity comes, skills are mastered, and your unique process and your unique voice is discovered. So those who show up go up. And lastly, I want you to celebrate. Start noticing your successes. When something happens that you're proud of, practice sharing it out loud with others and accept their congratulations when they say it to you without dismissing the achievement. Excuse me, without dismissing the achievement, right? Have you ever had somebody say something to you like a good job and you're like, well, thanks, but blah, 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 blah. No, stop that. Don't dismiss your achievement. No matter how big or how small, relish in the win for a bit. Make it a practice. If you haven't done this, it really becomes a practice. It's like, I have to practice accepting compliments. I have to practice accepting congratulations. I also have to practice celebrating and talking about myself. It's a practice. I'll let Sonia in here. All right. So over time, as you start celebrating and sharing your achievements with people, it's not bragging. It's not bragging. It's being proud of being a good, obedient servant to the mission that God's put on your life. Why wouldn't you share? Why wouldn't you share when your clients do something, right? Over time, you will see and understand how uniquely equipped that you are to lead the people of God, or to lead the people that God has placed in your life. So, excuse me. Speaking of celebrations, I want to take a moment to share with you some of the wins that my clients have had in our time of working together. And as we take a look at these, I want you to imagine and really understand that their achievements that I'm going to show you, their achievements really can be yours. So when you're looking at these, I want you to put yourself into their shoes for a moment and really feel the wins as if they were your own. These women were all once where you are right now. I was there too, right? But through learning the same strategies and skills that I teach inside the Pathway to 5K program, they have found some incredibly fun wins. So, all right. So some of these some of these ladies you have seen before, but many you have not. So there's Moss. She went from stuck to 8 new clients in 1 month and was on track to hit her first 10K month. Oops. The second is Jamie. Jamie landed her dream coaching client and earned a speaking position, surpassing 700 applicants. Jackie has greater confidence and clarity in her structure and her daily activities. Sasha increased her post engagement and developed a brand that allowed her to create deep connections quickly, leading to more sales. There's Shannon. She created a community of raving fans and hit her first 7K month in only 90 days. And Catherine successfully completed her first launch, making sales, and learned to work smarter, not harder. Angelique gained her time back by using systems to help her work more productively and effectively. And Jessica had 36 people attend her event with 12 appointments booked in one day, all from implementing her new marketing game plan. So that's just a little snapshot of the wins that you could be having too when you join the Pathway to 5K. It isn't just about making money, ladies. It is about building the business that you desire around the life that you desire. So you can still make a good income and be present with your family. To be able to play with your kids when they ask you to play dolls with them, to be able to go on walks or hikes with your husband just because. I want to show you how to make things simple so that you can release what is not needed and put your focus on what really matters to build a profitable business. If you have felt the nudge, I encourage you to go all in with me and say yes. Your life, your business could look and feel lighter and fuller in just 2 short months from now. And if you wait, it's okay. Just know that you might still be in the same position that you are right now. And if that's okay, we can totally wait. But if you are ready to break free, to make change, to start building a business that you can be proud of, yes, one that actually makes money, then now is the time. I want to remind you that the 48-hour bonuses end Friday night, tomorrow night. So to enroll, you can simply go to pathwayto5k.com. And I want you to go there anyway, if you're on the fence, to read through the program and look at all the details. And as you're looking through that, if you're like, yes, this sounds like something I want, then you can enroll directly from there. If you aren't sure, or if you look at the different pathways, the different learning pathways that are noted there, if you look at that and you're not sure which to choose, then I want you to book a call with me. Okay, if you have any questions or just need to talk about it, if you just need assurance, or if you need someone to pray with you through the decision, book a call with me. Okay, they are there on the screen, but I'm also going to drop this in the chats here. Here is the book a call link. Okay, and here is the Pathway to 5K link for you. I have lots of slots open today for calls, for appointments, consultations, whatever you want to call them. So if you need that, please do. The calendar looks closed for tomorrow because there are some like what ifs in the air for my family. We have a field trip that may or may not happen. So if you need tomorrow, simply shoot me a message and we'll get something set up for you if you need to chat about it. Okay. We are going to open up the Zoom room. So if you would like to join us in here, if you have any questions, I want you to come in here to into the Zoom room and we'll continue the conversation. I'll keep it live streaming for a few minutes. And ladies, that's it. I want to say to you, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to be even just a small part of your journey, your business journey this week. It has been an incredible pleasure. I think that these challenges, these types of training events, although they're helpful for you, they're really helpful for me too, in a lot of different ways. And so I just feel so honored and blessed to be here with you. And I guess that's it. So Zoom room is open. I did post it inside of the Facebook chat. Let me see if I can repost it there for you. Otherwise, if any of you have questions and you like to chat, we're open for that. There you go. All right. So do any of you have questions that you'd like to chat about? We can chat about the program itself. We can chat about your business in particular. You're welcome, Dawn. You're welcome.
I have a question if you don't mind.
Yes.
Okay, so I struggle with posting. So
with posting?
boasting, like about you, what you do, how that's where my imposter syndrome comes in. Oh wait,
Yeah.
you can't hear me. I'm sorry. Could you hear me before?
I hear you. Yep. Yep, we hear
Okay,
you.
so that's what I struggle with. And I'm not fluent in the Bible, so I don't know where it says about boasting, but I do know that it's something we shouldn't do. So how do you
Mhm.
work around that when you're trying to work on your business, that talk about yourself, or I have no problem talking about my clients and what they've accomplished, but then when it gets to the point where and I helped, I feel so weird. I feel
Mhm.
weird. How would you go about going around that?
Yeah. So this is a really great question, Dawn. Thanks for asking it. I think what is important to remember is that when we are doing things that are not, that are really centered towards us and our gain versus kingdom minded, that's where the difference is going to come from. So if you are boasting because you want people to look at you or to like you, or you're not honoring God through it, then that's a very clear that sorry, something popped up. That is a very clear uh tip. I'm sorry, I can't think of the word.
It's just a nudge to tell me that
Yeah.
that's
Thank you.
yeah,
Yes. That
yeah,
that would not be appropriate. Now,
yeah,
there is and I think ultimately like you're going to learn this through spending time with the Lord and asking him specifically about it. There's a difference between celebrating and like giving credit to God. Like here's a good example, okay? Many of us go to church and there's a worship team that is up there, singing. And I know worship teams all look different, okay? But I was once a part of this worship team, and the worship leader, he reminded us that when anybody says, "Great job up there," to remember to not let it go to our heads and instead give God the glory. So what he always said was, he didn't even say thank you. He said, "Glory to God. Glory to God." So when you're moving forward, if you are feeling that like, oh Lord, I just don't feel like this is right, then I want you to listen to that for sure. But then ask him, Lord, how can I share this by giving you the glory? Okay. So, and
yeah.
and again, I think some of that is going to just come through practicing and bringing it before the Lord. Um, you probably have seen posts that are definitely boasting.
Yeah. Yeah, I have. I mean, I don't post like that. And some people are like, why are you giving this information for free? I'm like, because I want to help people. Why aren't you
Yeah.
telling them that you helped them? I'm like, I will say that they're my client. That should cover the whole basis, I would feel, But yeah, I've been seeing a lot more, like you said, you Facebook loves to show you this stuff. And yeah, I just have to check out of it sometimes. It's just
Yeah.
horrible.
So I think if you are reading other people's and it's very clear to you that that is like it makes you feel not
Yeah.
good, that's an indicator that I believe that the Holy Spirit is leading you into not posting in that way. So learn from those experiences that pop up for you. Again, like when I'm sharing something, um, like here, yes, it's very obvious that we're here, and the client testimonies that I'm sharing, it's very obvious that I'm sharing them because in some capacity we've worked together to do those things, right? And you would think that it would be like, duh, like I don't have to say that, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes we actually do have to say, because we worked together,
Yeah.
this happened.
Yeah.
And that's not the type of boasting I believe that God is talking about.
No, me neither.
He
I
is
don't think
wanting
that
us,
is either. Yeah.
yeah, he just, we just have to keep the kingdom. It's so funny. I don't have my water bottle down here, but my water bottle has seek first the kingdom of God. So as long as everything that we're doing has his kingdom, let me let Jody in, has his kingdom at the forefront, I think that we can be assured that if we are doing something wrong, that God will either correct us or send somebody to us that is going to give us some advice or mentorship through that.
I'm definitely going to go on a discovery call with you. I have to look at your days though, your
Oh, sure.
times for today. So thank
Sure.
you
Yep.
for talking about that.
You're welcome. And if If you don't see anything there that works, like I said, just send me a message. We'll set something up, okay? Hold on one second. I have a private message. Let's see. Oh, the answer to that is no, you are not disqualified for that. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Hi, Jody. Good to see you. All right. What other questions do you have? Oh, I didn't see we had some more people show up. Hi, Alita. Good to see you. Okay. Any other questions?
I would love to talk about trying other platforms to find engagement based on our conversation earlier this morning. Like, because Instagram is just not doing what it used to do for me. And I just I feel a little bit lost and I guess a little bit disenchanted with the whole thing.
Sure.
Um, and it's all like I've been in business, this is my 9th year. And I almost feel like I'm starting from scratch again with trying to build up my leads. And it just feels like everything I've learned doesn't apply anymore. And I feel like a little toddler trying to learn to walk again in this whole thing. So
Isn't that the nature of business? No.
yeah.
I know. Like
Fair.
one thing goes really well for a while and then it's like, oh gosh, I gotta learn this.
Yeah.
So Shayna, you know, like I am a huge advocate for Facebook groups. And Facebook, I know it's not everybody's thing, but ladies, you are all here because of Facebook in some capacity. So,
Fair.
so some people have this mindset of like, but my ideal client isn't on Facebook. Everybody is on Facebook. Everybody really is, even the 20-year-olds, like they are still on Facebook because of Facebook groups. Because even when we're on Instagram and we purchase somebody's program, what do? They lead us to their free community or their customer community, which is on Facebook. So everybody is on Facebook. So what I would encourage you to do is I would not close your Instagram. I would not totally dismiss that. You've built a really great presence there.
And I
But
still
what
enjoy it. Like
yeah,
I still
and if
have
you
fun
enjoy
with it.
it, yeah, I mean, you love design. So why wouldn't you love Instagram? It's a great way to share your design,
Yeah.
right? And your branding, like it's very visual. So it's a great place for that. But also, you may consider doing something like a Facebook community. There are some very strategic ways where, yes, you can go into other people's groups, you can find people. But some of the things that we teach inside the pathway is finding the correct groups. There are some very hidden gems out there that that people don't know how to find. Try not to say too much without giving it all away. But so that's a part of the process, right? Is first finding the correct groups and then becoming known in those groups. It does take some time to build, but once you understand the system, I mean, we've grown in this group by 50 members in the past month, and I just came back from a 3-month sabbatical, right? And the people that are coming into this group are the right people. So it has taken me a while to learn this process, but now it's refined and it works. It works. And so the great thing also about Facebook is I think I mentioned this yesterday, is people gravitate into these hubs naturally. People are looking for connection and people to grow with. So Instagram is great. It can really help with lead generation in these, you're not in one of these weird waves that are going on, right? But it will come back. It'll come back, Shayna. So that's why I said, like, I don't want you to just like dismiss it, because it's still a great place. And it really does fit what you do in a way to be able to show it very effectively. But what you might consider is starting the group and then in your bio, having a link that leads people there, or a strong call to action, a strong call to action in your post. And I would do this call to action all the time on Instagram. The call to action would be something like, join my free community where we share more branding tips or more of XYZ. Because in that way, you're giving the information that you still want to give on Instagram, but your funnel is leading them to that Facebook community. And in your community, you don't have to post all the time. Now, if you look on our feed inside of the Productive Profitable community, it looks very busy right now because it's launch. And it's going to look very busy until Monday. So just for warning everybody, there's like 6 or 7 posts that are coming out every single day from here on out. But that's a launch cycle. So there's a very strategic posting strategy as well that I teach, and it really involves using your profile or your Instagram profile, either one, Facebook or Instagram, really anywhere, and then moving them strategically from your profile into your group. And then if you have email, which you do, you have quite a big email list. So all 3 will work together. And then what you'll find is that people in your audience, it's like going to somebody's blog for the first time, and all of it, like if you like it, suddenly you go to their next one and their next one, and suddenly you're buying, right? So this is the same idea, except for it's an online sales funnel, a social media sales funnel, and it keeps people moving and buying.
Okay. That's
so
a great
I would focus on building a group.
Okay. Thank you for that insight.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome. And I'd love to help you. Okay. Let's see here. Yes, Don, that's great. A Facebook community. Yep. So right as for now, the group accelerator program is only given inside of the pathway. Really the reason for that is because you can grow a great community. I mean, you can set it up like that. Program is going to help you build it. It has all the aspects of that. It will help you get your initial members in, right? But it doesn't have any of the sales, the marketing pieces that go along with really monetizing it. Like, it'll help you get started, but it's not going to really build without the other skills. And so for now, I just decided to couple them together.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Any other questions?
I have another one if you want.
Yeah, go for it. Totally.
So as I mentioned earlier when we were chatting, I'm going to be launching a podcast this year.
Yes.
And I had been thinking that like a Facebook group to pair with the podcast would make a lot of sense. So that feels like those things are aligning together. But in our chat earlier, you said, like, remember, it's a long-term strategy. So can we talk podcast? Yes, the podcast piece. Can we talk a bit about how you approached it and the like ROI that you've seen from your podcasting? And like what has been the most impactful strategies for getting the word out about it?
Yeah, totally. I don't really have okay, so when I started, I just knew that I had this idea, and I talked to a couple business partners, and it made sense. There was nothing popping up for me from the Lord that was holding me back. So it was like, okay, we're just gonna go for it. And so I did, but the reason that I chose to do it was for strategic lead generation. So I decided to make it an interview podcast. So when I say podcast, ladies, we're talking about a video podcast over on YouTube. Okay. So, so it's an interview channel. So in my head, I was thinking, how can I expand my network even more with the right people? And so that's the style that I chose to do. And then I just started sharing about it. I didn't really have a huge plan. I knew that, that I would like to put out one a month for now. And that I could essentially, because in my head, I'm always thinking like, how can I do this and still have the schedule that I want, right? And so how can I do this without giving up more time? And so I decided that I would have the interview, the application, and then from the application, people would be selected, and I would try to have as many interviews in one day as possible, and then I could schedule them out another day. Uh, and that's how it worked. And that's actually how I'm going to continue. So that,
Batching has
um,
been super helpful for you.
huh?
Batching has been
Oh
helpful.
gosh. Yes. 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 Batch everything you can. Batch everything you can, ladies. Uh, and actually that's part of the bonuses that you guys get inside the pathway too. Um, is that productivity playbook. Uh, so I didn't really have a plan, and I didn't really ask a lot of people. My friend Sasha has a very successful podcast, and so she did share with me her application, and so I modeled that application, and
Cool.
then I just decided I was going to go in and share about it. What's cool about sharing about your podcast is that it really is a well, it might be a little different from yours unless you start interviewing. Because when you're interviewing, it's like it's not about you. It's about lifting up the other person, and it just becomes so fun to share about and so easy to share about because it's like you really are offering an opportunity with no holds bar. But I will say, so requirements. So whenever you're doing something like this, you want to make sure that you are like it's a trade. It's a trade-off. Like when you came, like you knew you had certain requirements that you had to do. And like you had to share it with your email list and your social media X amount of times, which you did. Thank you so much. Not everybody did. And so I think moving forward, even if I have an interview with somebody, if they don't hold to their bargain, I'm not going to share their thing. So that's a
Fair.
learning experience. So I would know those requirements ahead of time, but really I think it's just a matter of getting it out there. For you, because it's not like I said, it's not an interview style, you might consider still having
Yeah,
some interviews.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
good,
have some interviews
good,
for sure. Yeah.
good.
Because my concept is it's gonna be called Space Holder Haven.
Awesome,
And
love it.
so it's going to be for space holders, people who are doing that work, energetically holding containers for others in the work that they do, and then how branding and marketing and business fits into that. But then also remembering to hold space for themselves as business owners. And so I want to talk to, like practitioners and therapists who are doing that sort of work, and then also talk to my clients that I've helped through the branding and website process and how that, like me holding space for them, has helped their businesses grow. So I want to kind of
Yeah.
attack it from the two fronts.
Yeah.
So
So I love that. So keeping that in mind, um, I would I would advertise it by requesting applicants. That is how I would advertise it.
ooh, okay.
Because then they're going to become curious whether or not they want to be on there in an interview or not. So you're going to pique their curiosity through just putting that out and then being like, oh, that sounds like a really great podcast. But then you're also going to have a lot of interaction on the post, which is going to be super great, right? And I would share it in groups where those people, of course, are going to be. Definitely check group rules. I'm talking fast because I have a client meeting starting, so I'm going to have to jump off.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But check the group rules to make sure that you can do that. But because it's not based on you, for the most part, you could probably share about it. And if you're just not sure, I would contact the admin and just tell her and ask. You'd be surprised how really kind admins are. Like
Yeah.
if they don't have to produce the content and somebody else wants to, they'll be totally fine with it. So, all right, I gotta go. It has been a
Thank you so much.
pleasure. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks so much for coming, ladies. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, bye.